There was a moment in Earth's history when the planet nearly tore itself apart. Not slowly, not safely. Earth looked stable, solid, permanent. But once, it nearly broke apart. The ground we stand on feels like the most reliable thing in the universe. It holds our cities, our homes, our entire lives. We trust it. But that trust is built on a misunderstanding. We think of geological time as slow, ancient, and distant. We imagine continents drifting apart over millions of years, mountains rising in a slow-motion ballet we'll never witness. But what if that wasn't always true? What if the Earth could change, violently and suddenly, right before our eyes? This isn't a disaster movie plot. It's a true story. The story of a day the Earth decided to show us how fragile our world really is. In 2005, deep in the Afar region of Ethiopia, something impossible happened. The ground cracked open. A fissure, a giant wound in the Earth's crust, tore across the desert for 60 kilometers. In just a few days, the land on either side of this crack moved apart by 8 meters. This wasn't a normal earthquake, which grinds side to side. This wasn't a typical volcano, which builds a cone. This was different. This was the Earth pulling itself apart. Local people reported seeing dark smoke rising from the ground, the air filled with the smell of sulfur. Geologists who flew over the area were stunned. It looked like the seafloor, but it was in the middle of a desert. They were witnessing the birth of an ocean on dry land. The event was so strange, so unprecedented in modern human history, that for a while, nobody knew what to make of it. They were seeing a geological process that should take millions of years compressed into a matter of days. So what was actually going on? To understand it, we need to zoom out, way out, and look at the deep structure of our planet. Africa is in a single, solid piece of land. The continent sits on the African tectonic plate, and this plate is in the process of breaking. In the Afar region, it's being pulled in 3 different directions at once, a phenomenon called a triple junction. This constant stretching thins the Earth's crust, making it weak. Think of it like stretching a piece of dough until it is so thin it is about to tear. Beneath this thinning crust lies the mantle, a sea of molten rock, or magma, under immense pressure. In September 2005, that pressure became too much. Magma surged upwards into the weak point, acting like a giant wedge. It forced its way into the crack, pushing the 2 sides of the rift apart with incredible force. This single event injected enough magma to be equivalent to the size of a large city. It was, in essence, the creation of a new slice of ocean floor. This is exactly how the Atlantic Ocean was born, when South America and Africa were torn apart. But that happened over eons. In Ethiopia, scientists got to watch the first chapter of that story unfold in less than 2 weeks. This event sent a quiet shockwave through the scientific community. It wasn't just an academic curiosity, it was a confirmation of a terrifying possibility. The process that started in 2005 is not over. It can't be stopped. That massive tear in the ground is the first major crack in the breakup of a continent. If this process continues, and all evidence suggests it will, East Africa, including countries like Somalia, Kenya, and Tanzania, will eventually break away from the rest of the continent, forming a massive new island. The Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden will flood into the newly formed valley, creating a new ocean. This won't happen tomorrow, or next year. We're still talking about geological time, but the clock has started ticking much, much faster than we ever thought possible. The Earth isn't just slowly drifting, it can lurch forward. The 2005 event was a lurch. It was the planet reminding us that the map of the world we see today is not final. It's just a snapshot in time. We are living on a planet that is actively, and sometimes violently, reshaping itself. The land of our ancestors could one day be at the bottom of a new sea. But there's a bigger warning here, one that goes beyond geology. The Earth rarely acts without giving signs. The Afar region had been seismically active for decades. Small earthquakes, strange volcanic activity, and the slow widening of the Rift Valley were all clues. But these signs were subtle, easy to dismiss as normal geological noise. We tend to live our lives in the here and now, focusing on human timescales of days, weeks, and years. We don't notice the slow, creeping changes until a dramatic event forces us to pay attention. By then, it's often too late to do anything but react. This isn't just true for geology, it's a pattern for so many things. We see this with climate change, with the slow erosion of ecosystems, even with the rise and fall of civilizations. The signs are there for those who look. The cracks appear long before the structure collapses. The planet moves on its own schedule. It builds mountains, and it drowns continents. Civilizations rise and they fall, becoming thin layers of rock for future geologists to study. We are just temporary passengers. The ground beneath your feet feels permanent. It feels solid. But that feeling is an illusion. Our planet is a living, breathing, and constantly changing entity. We're just living on the thin, fragile skin of a world that is always in motion. We can measure the movements, we can study the cracks, but we cannot stop them. We are just here for the ride. And sometimes, that ride gets very, very rough. The silence of the desert was broken that day, and in its place, we heard the sound of a new world being born, and an old one being torn apart. Permanence is an illusion.